Hello, I'm Brandon Weymouth, and this is my fourth devlog of the FMP. Uh, I'm happy to say my game is mostly, finished, so to speak. Next week, there's obviously the uh, peer assessment or peer testing, which will involve further testing beyond the playtest that took place on Tuesday this week. But generally, this week it's been about taking my game from the alpha, which you can see here, which actually didn't work for this week I also finished the mechanics on this alpha to ensure this even works as a full game. Things like terminals give me a massive amount of grief as the widgets on them refused to work. I got the UI to work perfectly, but as soon as I got around to the terminals, the same code it started to just break. So I had to resort to the text boxes with a plain background. It looks far worse, but at least it works. And then from here, I then had to bring it up to here, where I've got all the models imported. It's all the textures have been redone, and it's much closer to the final game. From this right here is after finishing off the game. However, before playtesting, I had a massive rush as Unreal Engine refused to install properly, and once it did install, it kept crashing. So that was great fun. And on Tuesday, I didn't have the entire game finished. I'd got about halfway bringing the alpha up to beta, but all the mechanics worked, so I was still able to get the testing to go ahead and have some direct feedback from my peers on the game. And from that, I was able to take, after completing that beta version, I was able to take it up to the next version here, where things like this kind of tutorial system, where it's telling you objectives, the controls, and later the wall running on the left there. That's all been added since. That didn't exist before. The doors here used to have to kind of shimmy along to the right as the door opens in order to keep the hitbox. That's been fixed as part of the feedback where someone not only told me about the bug but told me how to fix it, which was fantastic. There is also sprinting, which I think I demonstrated here in the video, where people were complaining about the character being far too slow, and sprinting was the solution. It simply doubles your walk speed, or maximum walk speed rather, which is a very simple thing to implement. I've got things like the notepad, if I can find it there. Notepad here, where before people were getting very confused on what they were meant to be doing and where they're going. So in combination with the tutorial and the kind of objective, you've got things like this where it explains directly to the player where that you need to take this keycard up to security to have it activated here. And it's still making players seek out answers to the puzzles, but it's still giving them a reasonable explanation and explaining what things are when it may not be entirely clear. Beyond that, I've got the rest of the game has all been filled out. We're going from the blocky alpha to a final beta with all the models implemented, and the end, while not exactly what I hoped to be, is present in some sense. But yeah, so this week has just been finishing off the alpha, so making sure it all works, then bringing it up to beta, having it play tested with all the models in place, and then fixing all the bugs and addressing all the issues that I've been given. With that, I have a somewhat finished game, but next week I'll be able to step it up with another round of play testing. With instead of my own class doing testing, I'm able to have a different set of playtesters or a year below, which will allow me to have a much wider range of feedback, and I'll be able to polish the game further as it's in a somewhat finished state currently. There's some things, the optional targets from what I had from the feedback I've been given, such as the hatch, which I didn't get to fix though. A combination of having not a hell of a lot of time and having no reason whatsoever for this not to work has driven me to not bother fixing it. This hatch is meant to open up here when you press this button. Instead, this button sends you to the next level. No reason for it to do that. No piece of code makes it do that. It's just decided to do that. No piece of code has changed since the alpha. All I've done is change the models. Yeah, in the alpha, opens the hatch. I cannot fix this no matter what I do. So things like that have stayed, but the majority of things have been fixed and issues worked out. I believe that's all I had to say. Can't think of anything else. One thing I'd like to mention is that last week when I did devlog, I was pretty disappointed with how my game was turning out compared to the design. It still stands, but nowhere near as much. I feel like I've brought it up to a state where I'm somewhat happy with how it turned out, even if there are so many things that I wish could be done differently or better than how I changed at the time and the skill. But I'm happy with what the outcome is. So it's something that I think is reasonably good and that I'm just generally happy with. As of making this, I'm currently packaging the game to be an exe. Once I've done that, and once I've recorded this, that'll be my production and experimentation finished, and me ready to move on to the next stage with the final finishing touches and evaluation. Of which I'm looking forward to in a sense. That's all.